1. So this will be a long rant because I am tired of some people saying that self-checkouts are failing or it's a scam, free labor, because it's not. And the reason why I have this kind of knowledge is because 1. I have worked in self-checkout, 2. I have used them for over 10 years, and 3. My mom is a manager of a grocery store. So the reason why most people don't use self-checkouts or call it a scam is that you are using us for free labor. Or why should we do your job, which is honestly a self-centered approach. Now, I understand why the elderly, so 70-plus people, prefer regular checkouts, and I don't blame them, but for others, you are the problem because even though it takes longer to scan your items in the self-checkout, what they don't understand is that in total it takes less time because 1. Self-checkouts take less space, so there is more of them, so you wait less. 2. Now there are remote and app-based scanners, so as soon as you scan your item, you can place it in the bag, and when you go to the self-checkout, you can scan the QR code and pay and leave. Regarding theft, firstly, here theft didn't rise. Because of self-checkouts, it stayed the same, and if you forget to scan an item, they will contact you if you used a membership card and tell you about it, so you can either go back and pay or wire the money to the manager so she can pay it for you. And if you refuse to pay, your membership card will be deactivated, plus you will be reported to the police. If you didn't use a membership card, you will be reported to the police to see if it's a pattern. It all depends if it was intentional or accidental, but in the US, if you forget to scan even one item, you are being treated like a criminal. Like WTF, if theft is so big of a concern, just add a gate where you need a receipt to open it, because that's what IKEA and other stores that have expensive stuff do, so you can't just walk and run right out, and Walmart's new system is a joke. Now, self-checkouts aren't perfect, but here is how they could improve so theft would be basically impossible and make the self-checkout experience a lot better. 1. RFID stage, where they need to add RFID tags to the products and the self-checkouts, so as soon as you've gotten all your stuff, you can either place the basket or the bag in the scanning basket and it will scan all your items and deactivate them as soon as the products have been paid for, so when you walk out, the security sensors wouldn't start screaming, and if they start screaming, it means you either forgot to pay or an item wasn't scanned, and if they do it correctly, they could identify the item that wasn't scanned or paid for. 2. AI stage, where RFID tags are placed. We should start training the AI to scan all the items so that the AI can get some really good training data. As soon as the AI gets as good or better than the RFID method, then we can recreate the Amazon Go, which they're shutting down, but without 1,000 Indian workers watching over and don't require an app to function, because as soon as you approach the self-checkout, all your items will be on the screen, if you have the app. And is active, you can just walk out if somebody tries to steal the picture, and the location of the subject will get sent to the security guard. 2. This is going to make me quit and look for only remote positions, because I'm tired, it's ridiculous, it's rude. It's gross, it's annoying. I got extremely sick with influenza a few days ago. Before Christmas, my coworker Bingo brought it back after going to a huge festival in Miami. Within 2 days of contact, I was down for the count. Not only did I fear for my life, I'm 21, I ended up in the hospital twice. I'm up to my chin in medical bills right now, I am still recovering. It's been 38 days and my sinuses are still not back yet. I ended up getting a sinus and lung infection due to the flu. I was out of work for 2 weeks. My holidays were garbage, and again, the medical bills suck. I'm so poor right now, I can barely afford to feed myself. I was put on a steroid and antibiotics, and I think I might have been allergic to the antibiotic because I puked at work twice. I wasn't allowed to go home, I could barely eat, could barely sleep because my stomach burned. Horrible, horrible. It has changed my life. I am now scared. Whenever someone so much as coughs, I keep masks on me 24/7 for any customers or co-workers who may be sick. I kid you not, my boss comes back from her daughter's wedding in Vegas, and she's sick, sniffles, cough, probably a fever, the works. The first day she said she'll keep her distance, I wasn't having it. I instantly put my mask on and said I'm not taking any chances. Now I come to work today. Not only is she still here sniffling and coughing, but she is using the computers, the iPads, without cleaning them after use. I am now paranoid and cleaning everything I touch, every surface. I'm so uncomfortable. I genuinely am on the edge of a breakdown over this. I don't think my body, my lungs are in any condition to get sick again. I can't do it. And if this is the etiquette for one of the 3 big cellular companies, I don't want to be a part of it. Like I said, I am still recovering, building up my immune system. I am finally able to start working out again. I could not breathe properly. I am finally starting to be able to eat regularly, and have been working so hard at taking vitamins and things to help me get back. But this is just angering me beyond belief. For the love of God, if you're sick, wear a bloody mask, please. I feel like someone almost killed me, a healthy 21-year-old, because they didn't wear a mask and don't clean things they used and didn't stay away from others. It's selfish. You're part of the problem if you don't, and I will die on this hill if you can't clean your space, stay home. Not only this, my other coworker is a little sick, but he sneezes elsewhere, literally removes himself from being near anyone when sneezing, instantly goes and uses hand sanitizer and washes his hands and clearly shows some etiquette. He doesn't clean the iPad or the keyboard, but I do after him. I wish more business at least enforced keeping a clean environment. I feel like I shouldn't have to eat the medical bills because my coworker came in with the plague and failed to do his due diligence. But whatever, that's life. It's just corporate America. If this touched a nerve, you're most likely a part of the problem. I literally called out my mom for this behavior today, too. Note, when I originally got sick, I did start wearing a mask as soon as I figured out how sick my coworker was. I stayed away from him as best as possible, too, but we literally work behind a desk together. It's near impossible. Even our back room is a walk-in closet. There's nowhere to go. 3. First, this guy just tried to complain to one of the managers a couple of minutes ago about the fact that I wear a mask, and how he thinks I shouldn't be allowed to have one in the store. The manager in question called me over after the guy left. Apparently he really hated the fact that I have this mask on my face, and was like ranting and demanding that as the manager, he had to tell me to remove it before he left. The store has no say on if I wear this because I don't work for the store, so even if the manager agreed, there's nothing he can really do about it, since it's part of my uniform. Any more than he can say something about the gun on my hip. Well, maybe he could say, "Hey, nice gun, that's really shiny." My guy tried to, "I want to speak to your manager," and got the wrong one. We all move on. But then an hour later, 10 minutes ago at the time of writing this, he came back. Remember, I didn't know this guy from the first incident. The first time he came in here, he didn't speak to me at all. He went right to the cashier and to the manager to complain and demand I take the mask off. This time, when he came in, he walked past me, and I'm in the middle of playing some Pokemon. So I look up and greet him like I do everyone else, and his head whips as he does a double take at me. "Are you effing serious?" So I'm confused right off the bat, because, again, was not present for this guy's beef the first time around, so I just ask, "About what?" And he storms off, confronting 2 of the floor workers, snapping at them where I can't hear him. He was bitching about me. Apparently, they told me, after they came up to the front, apparently I'm too scary, too menacing, look threatening, look like a thug. He marches off into the store full of hate for my face, but when he comes back up to the front, he's got another customer that's actively calling him out, yelling at his back like, "Hey, stop that! What the hell is your problem?" Props to you, my small friend. I respect your ferocity. Rawr. So, the guy is now back at the front of the store and is yelling that I am the problem here. "Take off your mask, you douche. You're the problem with this state. You're making things unsafe." So with my left hand, I'm calling management to come up to the front. With the right hand, I gesture at the door that he's free to leave whenever. And the other customer is busy yelling back at him as he does. "He's security. He's supposed to wear that." Half true. "What the hell is your problem, dude?" Now, older angry dude is absolutely tweaking out at this point. In the span of like 30 seconds, I've been called a thug, a douche, a freak, and told like 4 times to stop wearing my mask. But now he's at the cashier. Now he's snapping at her about how if I don't take my mask off, he's never coming back. That apparently he's already had 2 confrontations with me because I was outside harassing the homeless people. He says something to her about ice. Now, there's a bunch of thugs. But the cashier says she doesn't remember what it was exactly. But now the manager is up here with me, confused as the rest of us, trying to figure out what's going on. We've got the customer backing us up on it that this guy just entered the store and started tweaking the hell out, but now he's in the doorway, yelling at me about how I'm the problem with this country and demanding that I be kicked out. So, manager goes up to him, tells him to leave and not come back, and that if he does come back, he'll be criminally trespassed, and that they will be calling the cops to have him removed. This all took place in like the span of 3, maybe 5 minutes. During this time, other than calling the manager and pointing at the door, I had not interacted with this guy at all. Or, I work in a grocery store bakery as a cake decorator. Yummy. I take care of things such as orders, things for the display case, etc. I enjoy my position, but for some reason, the bakery section really seems to attract some of the oddest, if not downright rude and entitled customers. Here are just a few examples of some of the customers I've dealt with, to give an insight into the job. A lady brings in a cake she had baked at home, asking us if we can decorate it for her, frost, borders, writing, the whole thing. Naturally, we say no, as that's a health code violation. But cake decorating things can be easily found in aisle 13. She then asked if we could bring our bakery supplies there to the counter, so she could decorate the cake herself. In the end, she stormed off with her cake, calling us selfish. An old man threw an empty donut box over the counter at my coworker and I, because there were no cake donuts in the store's donut case. Someone kept leaving coconuts from the produce department on the front counter next to the cake case. We never knew who the culprit was. Customers will sometimes walk right past the counter and into the kitchen to get our attention. Despite there being an open window behind the counter that can easily get our attention. Can be unsettling when you're the only one on duty. We've also had customers snap their fingers and whistle at us to get our attention as if we're dogs. Well, that should be getting them ignored. Extremely particular customers have come to order smash cakes for their 1-year-old's birthday, and threw a 1-year-old worthy tantrum if the frosting was a shade too bright or dark than what they wanted. Just adjust the lights. We can't exactly match colors, as the frostings usually come delivered in buckets with the colors pre-mixed. We had a man come to pick up a cake, which I assume his wife ordered, and got uptight when he saw it, claiming that it was the wrong shade of pink. After trying to explain multiple times that we can't match exact colors, he demanded a manager be called to the bakery. Ah, yes, one of those amazing color-changing managers. Manager came, man interrupted me when I tried to explain the situation, called the decorators incompetent and ignorant of the frosting color, despite the fact that the cake is going to be smashed to pieces. The manager looked at the cake, shrugged, and said, "Well, I think it looks nice." The man's face dropped as he realized the manager wasn't going to side with him. Yay! Finally, he took the cake, and as he walked away, we heard him mutter, "My wife is going to kill me." A lady chose a cake out of the display case, then proceeded to repeatedly say, "Oh, that looks bad. That looks really bad. That looks terrible." This was on a day where I was already dealing with a lot of stress, both inside and outside of work, but I kept a straight face and gave her the cake. Later on, I heard from one of the employees at a customer service desk that the lady tried getting a heavy discount on the cake, claiming that it was ruined. It was not out of date, it was not damaged or messed up in any way. The lady did not get a discount, but still bought the cake anyway. Customers have let their toddlers press their faces against a display case of cakes and lick the glass, all while laughing about how cute their kid is being. People, it's not cute, it's gross. Not to mention that the glass is frequently wiped down with cleaner that can leave a bit of residue. Stop letting your kids lick things at the store. Overall, I'd say the job is a pretty good one. And there are definitely more better customers than rude. Definitely can be a wild ride, though. 5. This was from about 2 years ago, before the chain I worked for at the time had fully switched to DoorDash. Or at least before my store got and utilized the upgrade. A couple of things to note at the time: we had a way to change the promise time, but we were anticipating a system change so it would not automatically change the promise time when we got more or less orders than we could manage. If I needed to change the delivery or pickup time, I'd have to do it manually as needed. We were extremely short-staffed. I never had a cook, and at the time, except for on the weekend, I only had one driver as a closing manager. For whatever reason, we just get unbearably busy one night. I get 5 orders and I go ahead and switch the promise time to an hour. 10 orders an hour and a half. This keeps going, and people keep ordering. Eventually, my promise time is 4 hours for delivery, and an hour and a half for pickup. This wasn't me trying to get people to quit ordering, this was me being honest with people. Our store had quadrants on a delivery map that was about 6 miles across from the furthest points. I was giving my driver 5 at a time, disregarding doubles, singles, triples, whatever. I gave him the next 5 that needed to go. I pre-planned his route, that would take the quickest, and I wouldn't see him for another 30 to 45 minutes. Meanwhile, in store, I would make about 6 or 7 orders at a time before I had to run to the other end of the store to catch them coming out. I barely had any time to help the customer, but I always made sure that if I stepped away, nothing would burn. Obviously, the phones were going off the hook, but I couldn't answer them, even if me answering would mean my situation would have gotten easier because of people cancelling. There was just too many orders. And occasionally I would have people coming in 2 hours after they had ordered, confused as to why their order hadn't even been started yet. With them, I just prioritized their order just to get them out of the store, but often only had to skip 1 or 2 orders to get theirs out. And that's what happened when a man walks in very obviously upset, and he starts going into me how he's been waiting 2 hours and he checked his promise time, and how it is 4 hours and it's ridiculous, and how we didn't even answer the phone because he wants to cancel. I'm the kind of guy where I match energies. And I just went off on the guy. I showed him my delivery screen, how there were like 3 deliveries that were showing ready to deliver, but had already left the store as I was ghosting doubles. Officially, we could not send triples. 1 or 2 that were in the oven, and then the sea of orders that I had not even touched. I think at my peak it was something like 25 orders. That I couldn't just stop making orders to answer the phone, that I wasn't answering any of the people calling that evening. And that it was just me and 1 driver, and we'd either get it out when it got out, or I could make it right then and there. 10 minutes later he received his food and he left, and I would have thought nothing more of it, but 2 hours later, when it had started to die down, and the guy returns with a card where he apologized. Inside the card was a $50 gift card to Carrabba's. It was like 4 different restaurants. That's just where me and my family used it at. Labor was like 4%, if I recall correctly. Hey everybody, Hellfreezer here, and thank you very much for listening to Adventures in Fast Food and Retail, episode 223. And thank you very much to everybody who allowed me to use their stories in this video. Before you go, please do hit the like button if you'd be so good, and share the video with friends and family. And if you'd like to support the channel, you can do that by supporting me on my Patreon page if you'd be so good. Little as $1 a month goes a long way. And you can also make donations, or tips as we call them, during videos by hitting the heart with the $sign underneath. Okay. No more business today, so let's move on to Hellfreezer's question of the day. Is there somebody in entertainment who... Now, we all understand that people in entertainment have personas, and no one is really like they are, like on screen or so on, and all that sort of thing. But is there anybody who you were just very surprised to learn they're the complete opposite of the character they play? Because sometimes, you'll find there's a little bit of similarity. I was quite surprised to learn that Jim Caviezel is not a very nice man to be on set with, apparently, because he mistreats his co-stars, be they animal or human or whatever. They apparently, at one point on Person of Interest, had to take away the bangs from the guns, had to replace them, or they were considering placing them replacing it with CGI because he was irresponsible with it. They had to swap the dog that played Bear on the show. It was a dog named Bear, not a bear. A dog named Bear. They had to swap that out because he was mishandling the dog and it became aggressive with them. They then just stopped him from interacting with the replacement dog. And seemingly at one point, one of the recurring characters on the show, a character called Shaw, was being set up as a potential replacement lead in case he just got so unmanageable they had to fire him. Because apparently that was a possibility. Now, as I say, you don't expect actors or whoever else to be who they play, to be the persona. But that one was surprising because it's in such stark contrast. But I do enjoy that show, and I really should finish it. I never watched the final season for reasons, but it might be worth finishing. Well, let me know what you think in a comment below. And before we go, let's take a look at the answer of the day from a previous video. This one comes from Fast Food and Retail 183, and it is, when does a sandwich stop being a sandwich? Let's see, today's answer comes from Kathy Beckford. Kathy is an expert in baked goods, so I'm not going to defer to their excellent knowledge. I would say any yeasted bread type product that can be placed around a foodstuff. That could be a Jamaican meat patty between two pieces of cocoa bread, is a sandwich in a sandwich. Whichception. My heavens. Thank you very much for your answer, Kathy. And with that, I'm going to head off for now. Finally done with my recording for the week. Yay! Not done with my video making, but done with my recording. So until next time, thank you very much for listening, and take very good care of yourself and your sandwiches.